It's time to strap on your wellies and reach for the glow sticks as we create our perfect video game themed music festival. Which gaming bangers will be headlining? Find out in today's episode of the PlayStation Access podcast. Hello and welcome to the PlayStation Access podcast, the official podcast of PlayStation UK. I am your host, Rob Pearson. Joining us this week, we have Amy Mallet, Rosie Caddick.
Hello.
And making his PlayStation Access podcast debut, Alex Young.
Hello.
Yay!
I made it.
First
I'm
time
here.
on the pod, Alex.
Yeah, exciting. Very exciting.
We've brought you here, Alex, specifically because of your musical knowledge.
Ooh, okay.
Because in today's episode, we've decided to have a little bit of fun. Because the music festival season, well, I don't know if the music festival season, but Glastonbury's just finished.
Mm-hmm.
I know there are other music festivals. I don't know much about music festivals, and we will learn more about that, I imagine, through this episode. But we thought it would be fun to devise a video game themed music festival.
Yes.
And decide how we would plan it out, from all of the various stages to what would be served at the food truck to who we'd share a tent with, etc. So just to take us through this format, which Amy has wonderfully put together for us.
Thank you for dubbing me the festival queen.
You are the festival queen. So we're going to decide basically what is going to be on the main stage. So what are going to be the headline acts. And the rules are quite loose. So we can have like a fictional in-universe band, or it can be just a soundtrack to a game, if you like. But we're going to be talking about what will be the headline acts on the main stage. Then we've got an indie stage for some soundtracks or music from amazing indie games. The memory card stage.
Kudos.
Which is,
This is Alex's name, so he
Thank
needs
you.
to get the
Which
credit.
is
one good
slot.
idea every month.
A slot for old school and retro games. The left field stage, where we're all going to be displaying how cool we are with our expert knowledge of things that are not mainstream. If you've
Hipster
heard
video
of it,
games.
then it's too mainstream for the left field stage. And then we've got the Headbangers stage, and this specifically is why we've brought Alex along, because on the Headbangers stage, we're looking for heavy, alternative, metal music. So those are the 5 stages, but we also need to be considering what is going to be on sale at the food truck. So basically, what's the best video game food you would like to eat? I've got a lot from various
I had
Final Fantasy
shockingly
games.
quite a lot from food in general, really.
And then just general things on anything we can think of for how we would make this festival as special as possible. And we've got some fun questions like who would be the hype man getting the crowd going? What characters would you most like to crowd surf? And what characters do you think would be not very good at crowd surfing? Or wouldn't you want to be in the crowd when they jump on top of you? You don't want that. Who would you want to share a tent with? This kind of thing. But we'll just kick things off. This is going to be an open discussion.
We'll also be sharing a petition to make the festival real.
Oh, yeah.
So please sign it.
Tickets.
Once we've made it, don't crush our dreams. Make it real.
Absolutely. Tickets going on sale tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, just to clarify, they're not.
This is not real.
So let's start with the main stage. So this is going to be quite broad, quite open-ended. I guess we should each put forward an act we think would be a good headliner on the main stage. So say the festival's running for 4 days. Each day there's going to be a headline act on the main stage. Alex, seeing as it's your first time here, we'll come to you first. What would you put
You have the
on
pressure
the
of
main
going
stage?
I've got to set the tone. Okay. Well, I jotted down a few ideas, but my top idea I thought was Astro.
That was mine as well.
Really? You knew, Rosie. I knew there was going to be a clash there.
Well, if you want to take that one, Rosie,
No, we can work on it together.
So I just thought, Astro's Playroom is full of so many great tracks, and he could finish the set on I Am Astro Bot, which is an absolute bop. He's got great moves. He can have all his other Astro friends with him. I just thought for a headline slot, what a sell that is. People are going to love that.
It's a banger a minute, that game, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got SSD.
Yeah.
You've got the GPU song, which
I'm surprised Rosie didn't break out in. You can't say the phrase SS. Yeah, thank you, Rosie. Thank you.
I can't even think
I was
about
holding
GPU.
it in. I was like, I'll let Alex speak. I can't just immediately cut him
No,
off.
don't let him speak.
Us, duh.
That's it. I'm surprised, pleasantly surprised, Alex. That's quite a joyful, colourful pick.
Well, to be fair, some of my
you.
other ones are not so... Well, I might put my other suggestions at the end of this section.
Okay.
We'll see if they might get ticked off, but we'll see.
So the headline act at the end of day one of the festival is just like a medley of songs from Astro's Playroom.
He will be there himself, performing
On
dance
stage.
moves with a full orchestra there, whatever musical instruments are required to complete this musical adventure and experience for everyone. They will be there. He'll be dancing with all his robot buddies. Yeah.
I mean,
Does everyone get a
would-
dual sense type thing in the crowd?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Go blow up
Something
dual
interactive.
senses.
The prop that I chose for this
Oh,
was,
that's a good prop.
You know, in Rescue Mission, you've got like a dual shock that has like the water pistol, and you
yeah.
can use that. And I thought, imagine if like in the crowd you can give that, and everyone's just got these like,
That'd be amazing.
but like it's a dual sense edition, just these little water pistols, so they could all just go
Love that.
like opening a bottle of champagne, but it's just water going like.
That's a great idea. The thing about the stage decoration, you could have monkeys climbing in the background. You know,
The zipper seat monkey.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
And
the colour would change
yeah.
depending on which
Oh,
song.
yeah.
That could be like, I don't know if they have this at music festivals, but fun activities you can do outside of listening to music. They should have like a rock climbing thing, and you have to put on the monkey suit
Yep.
and
Yeah.
climb
Amazing.
up.
Then there can be like you know, when you have to hold onto the ball, but it's a rocket, and then the rocket's gonna like shake around like in the SSD level, and then you have to try and like not fall out of the rocket. Just pretend there's not a glass front. You have to stay seated in there.
Health and safety is going to go mad with this one, but I think we're on the right lines. We're on the right lines.
Right, so Rosie, we've got Astro. What would you put on the main stage?
So I also put down Astro, but I will say everything I've picked, I haven't gone with like soundtracks. I've gone with musicians in games. And
Right.
Astro,
Combination of both,
my
either way.
justification is because he sings "I am Astrobot," so therefore Astro is the singer, making him a musician. So that's why I was like, "Yep, Astro, put you on the stage for the." Because also in the notes, I got it was a PS5 headline act, so that's why I was looking through the PS5 library, and I was just thinking, no, Astro would be great. He would start with "I am Astrobot" because he sings about himself. He's a musician, so it counts in my rules. So that I was like Astro. Yeah, just a great pick.
It's a great pick, Rosie. Well done. Well
Look
done,
at the
Rosie.
hype you'd get. Well done, Alex, as well.
you can
Well
imagine.
done.
You can imagine the crowd going wild
Oh
for
my
Yeah.
gosh, yeah.
all the Astro.
Oh yeah.
Like as soon as it just goes, and then everyone just goes, way, like starts cheering immediately. It'll
Before
be
he comes on stage,
fantastic.
you just hear a little, what did you say your name was again? My name's
I
Astrobot.
am Astrobot. It will be brilliant. It
Yeah.
will be great.
So you're going for Astro as well, Rosie?
Yes, that was my pick.
Very well. So Astro's there for 2 days.
Maybe he's doing 2 nights. Yeah.
2 nights of
He's like
of
Taylor Swift
Astro.
these days.
I guess.
Get a bit
Well,
greedy
at least
now,
now we
Astro.
know what happens when we both have the same idea. They're just there for 2 nights.
Well, I guess you would turn up for that, wouldn't you? And you'd be disappointed if you missed the one day that Astro was there. He's like, I guess, the Dua Lipa of the PlayStation Festival.
Yeah. There might be a clash as well on the other stages, you see. You
Oh,
might not
yeah.
get to see him one night. So
True.
maybe you'll go
Really good
again.
point.
True.
So what did you have, Rob?
Well, I was going to come to you first, Amy.
Okay, I'm trying to remember what my PS5 headliner was.
Oh, please tell me it's Astro. He's there for 3 nights. He's
And it's
there.
Astro, but no, it was actually Aerith from Final Fantasy
Oh,
VII.
great
Because
pick.
in Rebirth, obviously, she sings that absolute banger of a song. It's performed by Lauren Allred in real life, but she does it at the Gold Saucer, and it's absolutely spectacular. And if I could see that on stage at a
Wow.
festival, holy cow, that'd be amazing. And I just think, I mean, I love that whole scene in general in the game. Like Sid's literally asleep in his chair and Yuffie's like punching him, or I think Red 13's punching him to wake up. But it's brilliant, and everything's really sort of interactive, and a little bit like how Final Fantasy does big pop dance numbers anyway. We'll kind of come to, like, I'm sure Rob might mention one a bit later on if I'm on his wavelength. I think he might mention one. But they tend to have like almost like summon spells around them and stuff.
Wow.
And I think it would be super cool. I think she'd do a ballad. It would get the whole crowd just weeping, absolutely weeping like babies. I'm here for Aerith doing a headline slot.
That bit in Rebirth is so good.
Great.
Honestly, amazing.
It is
Just so
fantastic.
joyous.
Yeah.
Alex, you probably haven't seen it, I
haven't got a
guess.
clue what you're talking about. No. I'm aware of it.
I was also going to say her support could be that guy from Rebirth. His name's Akira. He's the one who's always trying to get his music career off the ground. Do you know the guy I mean? You
I
see
don't
him
remember that guy.
in Remake. He's sitting in a little bar and he sings that song called Midgar Blues. And he's like, Midgar, Midgar, and everyone's just talking over him. And then in Rebirth, he is in the first place you visit, Calm. I think it's in Calm, and he's like singing a much more boppier song.
I have no memory of that.
I don't know.
Maybe I've just
No,
completely
no,
missed this
no.
character.
Hit me in the comments if you do, because I remember.
He's not the guy on stage, is he? In Calm, like go down some stairs.
You go down some stairs, and if
him?
you stand still for long enough, Cloud bops along. Cloud has a little vibe.
I know. I don't know them in Remake, but in Rebirth, I know who you're referring to.
Because he makes I'm sure he makes a joke like, oh, you know, I've left Midgar to go on tour around the world, and then he's like, haven't quite made it further than Calm yet because I don't have much money, but please buy an EP or something like that. But yeah, he could be Aerith's support, I think. Tifa could play the piano.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tifa does some great. She'd play Tifa's theme on the piano.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you, Rob?
There's like a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth night, I
Oh.
guess, where Aerith and Tifa are performing.
Yeah.
This is
nice.
where the rules of our music festival break down a little bit, because so far we've got characters from video games performing on the stage.
Yes.
But I have selected an actual real-life human being to perform on the stage with an orchestra, and that would be Bear McCreary performing the God of War
That's a great one.
soundtrack. And I mention this because I was lucky enough to be in the room at E3 when they revealed God of War 2018, and there was an orchestra there playing that music, and being in that room when they were doing that was unbelievable. And I know it's not the type of music everyone's going to be like with their glow sticks bopping along to. Everyone's going to be standing there respectfully taking it in. But I would love to hear that played orchestrally.
Yeah.
It's just so powerful. I love that music.
I think Memories of Mother, the one that plays
Yes,
at the
that's the
beginning.
one. Yeah,
which
that's
is
the
sort
one.
Of like, that really sort of like haunting Viking-esque a choral track is just stunning. Like I listen to that at least once a week. So I'd be there.
Yeah,
I'd be
it would
there
be. So the vibes are a little different, I guess, so depending on what day you come to this music festival.
Hey, some people go to them just for a single day, don't they?
You've got Aerith singing, you've got Astrobot performing SSD twice. Or you've got Bear McCreary with orchestra doing really powerful, somber God of War music.
That's a
Mix.
nice. It's a
I
really
think that's
nice
a good
variety.
mix. I think there's something for everyone if you come for the headliners.
Yeah.
A good festival so far.
Next one.
So we'll go to the indie stage next.
Sure, you don't want
So
to
this-
quickly hear my other suggestions?
Oh, go on then.
Because the main stage needs a
okay.
couple of
Oh,
other
right.
performers.
Go on then.
I wrote down Joel from The Last of Us
I was thinking Joel
with his
was
Just
guitar.
on guitar.
Again, that's not going to get people, dancing. But I think there's a lot of quite a lot of sad songs, but a lot of
Just be
ballads.
there. If I ever were to lose you.
But that would
then
be
when
quite
he's
powerful.
finished-
Everyone quiet. Everyone start ready to cry.
That will go straight into Astro after that.
I love the idea that he doesn't have any of the songs, so when he's finished that one, he just stops for a minute and he's like, if I ever were to play that exact same song.
Same song.
Okay, maybe a bit better. I wrote down Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank using the Groovitron.
Oh, that's a good
Get everyone
idea.
dancing.
That's great. Yeah, that's
I
really
reckon
cool.
there should be a Groovatron tent.
Oh, yeah.
Just going at all times.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
And they're just constantly firing Groovatrons in the air.
yeah. 24/7
That would be
Groovatron.
It's my
Amazing.
favourite weapon in Ratchet and Clank history is the Groovatron. Just because the effort that Insomniac have gone to do bespoke dance animations for every single enemy in the game. And they're all sort of like real sort of like hip thrusting, disco dancing type animations.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Sorry, I'll let you carry on anyway now. We've got a stacked main stage
All right.
there. I think we've done a good job.
That's great.
Well, we'll go to the indie stage next then. And Rosie, I'll come to you first on this
Ooh.
one. The indie stage. So this music or a character from an indie game.
So again, I've gone with my theme of characters, and I have chosen Orpheus and Eurydice, or I don't know how to pronounce the name, but from Hades, who are two Greek mythology characters. I don't know, is it Greek mythology or I can't remember if they're real or Greek mythology right now. But
Well, Hades definitely is in terms of a mythological figure.
I think most of the
Most of them
characters,
will
if not
be,
all of the
yeah.
characters, are based on Greek mythological characters. So
But I chose those two because in Hades, first of all, so you start off and they sing their own the same song but in different versions, and they're both like absolutely beautiful versions of the song. And then when they finally meet, because Orpheus's whole story is that he goes back to save his wife into like the underworld, and then
I remember his story.
Then like the deal was that he can have her back, but he's not allowed to turn around when they're
She's
leaving.
following him out of hell, isn't she?
Yeah.
And if he looks back, then he loses her.
But they both have
actually
to
know this.
Yeah, but they both have to cross, and then he turns around just before she hasn't crossed, and then that's it. She's gone forever. But in the game, when you bring them both together, like what is the same song but in two separate beautiful harmonies? It's like they just come together beautifully. And when you do like the main story of the game, you've got a fantastic song called "In the Blood," which is like an opera sort of rock song, and it is genuinely just one of the best tracks in gaming. It's so brilliant. And I think just like hearing "In the Blood" being played, and the visuals could be all about like what you see in Hades as you explore the different locations, because you get it at the end of the main story as well. It's sort of like you can have it as a reflection of the journey you've come and the story and the characters you've met. So I think having those two pop up singing "In the Blood," and then they'd also have their own adaptations of they're in the other song is what's it called? Good Riddance, that's what it's called. And then they can come together at the end. I just think it'll be a really cool, like a little cool set piece for them.
Yeah. They seem like indie stage material, definitely.
Yeah, I showed like the music because I think my friend who knows nothing about Hades, he listened to Good Riddance and he was just like, "This song is amazing." And I said, "Oh, listen to "In the Blood." And then we both just sat there in silence, and we were both just like vibing with it. And we're like, "Oh," you know, when you have like a moment with a song, we're both just like, "Oh," like
this absolutely slaps.
Yeah, it's so
So
good.
we'd have the Groovatron tent. Maybe we've also got the Hades silent disco tent, where everyone just puts on headphones and just. This song is really good.
Good Riddance is a really sad song, and it's just like a single, I don't want to say opera song, but you know, it's just like a single piece, and it's quite a sad song, so everyone will just be sat there just mellowy vibing, and then "In the Blood" comes on, and then everyone goes like dun 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 dun, like as the rock comes in and stuff. That's when the rock starts happening.
You could, in the silent disco tent, you could have two channels. So on channel A they have the sad song, and on channel B they have the upbeat song.
That's normally how it works.
That'd be quite a contrast if you look out over everyone dancing in that tent. It'd be like, bit of a weird vibe in here.
But that's who I've chosen for the indie tent.
Very well. I'm going to go next because I'm scared someone else is going to choose the thing I've got. So I'm going to get in there first.
I hope it's not mine.
And I'm going with basically the soundtrack to Undertale.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Yes, that's right, Amy. I thought to myself, I bet
Honestly.
Amy's going to choose that, so I'm going to go first.
No way.
But specifically, we've got to have a bit of Megalovania there. It's not going to be a music festival without Megalovania.
I don't think there's a song in video.
No.
This is a hot take, but I don't think there is a song in video game history that goes that hard. Like, if you've never listened to Megalovania and you want to get something done in like 5 minutes and you just need to like almost put 50p in the back of your soul, listen to that song because it's just pure
It does go pretty hard.
energy.
It does.
I mean, it's an incredible soundtrack. I think all the music was done by Toby
Yeah,
Fox,
it was.
the
Everything's done by one person,
who did the entire game, and it's outstanding. It's not just Megalovania. There's almost all of the music in that game I really enjoy, and I can happily sit and listen to the entire Undertale soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
But so much of it, I think Megalovania would be amazing at a music festival.
Everybody
I really
would
do.
have glow sticks.
Yeah.
You could get like a giant sans on stage.
Oh,
You
that would
know,
be
like,
amazing,
it'd be
yeah.
So good, wouldn't it? Oh,
Just
mate.
a load of backing dancers in like skeleton costumes.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the
Would be
vibe
really cool.
of like the song called "Your Worst Nightmare," which is like the final boss music. It's the one when you've got like the crazy visuals of like, I'll just say it in case you haven't played it, but like there's the TV screen, there's vines and plants and faces and stuff, and that song also goes hard. So I'd love it like if everyone just fully loses it at that song as well. That'd be great.
Do you remember that time that me, you, and Ash put Megalovania on in the office on repeat because we really needed to get some work done?
Yeah.
And we were literally moving our hands going. Yeah,
Yeah, we got no work done because we're too busy.
Sounds like a lot of work
grooving.
was getting done. I was going to say, yeah.
But it really does increase productivity. I'd
Alex,
say.
are you familiar with Megalovania?
Not massively. No, I've not played Undertale, but I'm aware of it.
Some homework for you. Just go
Yeah.
and Google Megalovania and have
You'd love
have
it.
a bop. You would love it.
Yeah.
It's quite sort of veers into metal a little
Okay.
bit,
It
I
is
think.
quite. It's like hyper metal. It's
Yeah.
sort of like if
Hyper.
pop and metal had a baby.
Oh.
But it's also got elements of like sort of like really intense dance music in there as well. It's a bit happy hardcore. It's just
cool,
fantastic.
yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
So,
I'll
so good. You'd
Definitely
like
check that out. Yeah.
Amy, think of something else. Quick.
well, I was going to have Megalovania. That's so unfair.
It's all right. You can
Hey,
have
Astro's
there
got two.
twice.
Astro's there
maybe
twice.
maybe Undertale's there for 2
that
days.
was the only one that I'd put down because I also love like there's so many good songs in Megalovania. Like Spider Dance is really good as well. That one always gets stuck in my head. And then there's like Dummy, which is the really jazzy one that's like da 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 da. Oh, what other indie game could I have?
Well, I also had like an alternative, which would be much more somber than Undertale. I really like the soundtrack to Gris, to pronounce it correctly.
Yes.
I think it's by Berlinist, and it's just such a vibe. Really nice vibes. If you're going out on a hike or a nice walk through some beautiful landscapes, the soundtrack to Gris. So whether or not it would be suitable for a music festival, I'm not sure. If we're going for stuff that people want to dance to.
People want more ambient stuff too. There are ambient tents where things are very chill.
Ambient is definitely the word for it. So maybe there should be an ambient tent.
Definitely, yeah.
And Gris can be on there.
That's
Yeah.
helped me actually, Rob. I would go for either Transistor, which has an incredible soundtrack.
Absolutely. Darren Korb.
Oh God, amazing.
Well, Darren Korb's also Hades soundtrack.
Oh, is
so
he?
Darren
Well, they're both Supergiant games, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Darren Korb is also the voice of Orpheus. So Darren Korb is singing this.
I
didn't
nice.
connect the two.
Yeah, so
Oh,
when you
my
said that,
word.
that's I was just like, that's also in Hades. That's also Hades.
Yes, Transistor's fantastic. I cried at the end of Transistor, and I just think the music in that is incredible. So yeah, Transistor, and then maybe Firewatch, because I'm thinking again similar hiking vibes. Like I wouldn't say it's necessarily like full of bangers, wall-to-wall bangers, but I do think I listen to Firewatch a lot if I'm sort of in a very peaceful place and I kind of want like some lo-fi. And there's some sort of big building bits in there as well. So yeah, I'd probably say I think Transistor. I'm going to go Transistor. That should be on the indie stage 100%.
The indie stage lineup is looking good.
I'm going to the indie stage.
Yeah, we got a
The
good
indie stage
lineup
is
coming
cool.
up. What about you, Alex?
Well, we're not doing very well here because I also wrote down Hades, but I was sort of going more for the soundtrack as a whole. There are a couple of tracks on there in particular, songs that are related to boss fights. So I wrote down the Unseen Ones, which is a particularly heavy track, and it's one of those pulsating heavy guitar moments, almost stepping on the toes of Doom territory in terms of how heavy it is, while you're in one of those frantic boss fights. That's really cool stuff, and I think with that we've got quite a nice indie stage, quite a nice mixture of different things on the indie stage there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It feels like a good variety of genres.
Yeah.
Bit of genre splicing. So I guess that brings us to...
It brings us to the memory card stage.
Got so many for this.
So I do as well, and it's
I do
hard.
as well.
It's
I
hard to
had to
pick.
pick one.
It's hard to pick just one. So maybe the memory card stages are going to be full of everything. Amy, we'll come to you first on the memory card stage. What have you got for us?
So I've actually I settled on two, but I had so many. I could have gone for Shadow of the Colossus, the OG. I mean, obviously it's been remade since, but I think that PlayStation 2 title has a real special place in my heart. The music in that is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts, Hearing Simple and Clean. Like
Yes.
when I was a kid and I used to play, I don't know if you guys had the same experience, but I loved listening to Simple and Clean, like the Planet
it's
B
amazing.
remix, so
Yeah.
much. But I didn't have like, it was before we sort of had Spotify and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and even then I don't think it'd be on it. So what I did was I just kept loading the game and pressing new game every single time I wanted to hear that song. And then I'd listen to it like I was obviously like listening to a soundtrack, and then I'd just cancel, restart the game again.
learning the ways of YouTube, Simple and Clean on just kept on refreshing that.
Before I got to
Sanctuary
that
as well, kept on loading
Sanctuary's
those
great
songs.
too.
You can't beat Simple and Clean.
No, Simple and Clean's the better
Simple
one.
and Clean's
but-
the best one.
That
Oh,
was
yeah.
that was the soundtrack to me going to university.
Yeah.
Simple
Yeah.
and Clean.
Yeah, I also learnt to sing Hikari, the Japanese version of it, in Japanese.
Ooh.
No idea what the words
right.
meant, but I had a little go. But I actually settled on. I thought it'd be funny to have, because I thought no one else would go for this, and it's fun to mix up the genres. But I actually thought OG Loke from Gran Theft Auto San Andreas, because he's that rapper who's just absolutely rubbish.
I
Yeah.
remember
Do you
OG
remember
Loke.
him?
Yeah.
He needs a lot of help.
And CJ just gets so annoyed with him, like he's proper just walking along spitting lyrics lyrics and they're all terrible. And I think it would be very funny. I think he'd be like the joke act of the festival, and everyone would be like, "Oh, you're gonna go see OG Loke? Oh yeah, maybe we will." But I think he'd be really funny for like a kind of comedy act, but also memory lane, because it's San Andreas is obviously an old school.
I remember the countless missions you had to do for OG Loke and CJ getting very annoyed about it. That's quite the varied lineup, Amy.
Yeah, there's a few there.
Yeah, there are a few. Alex, we'll come to you next. The memory card stage. So, some music from old school or retro games. So,
first I wrote down Hotline Miami, because that has got a great retro style electronica 80s vibe. Really, really cool. I can't see that going down badly. People are going to love that. But the one that I wanted to focus on more was a fighting game that I love from the 90s called Street Fighter EX Plus Alpha.
Which is very specific.
It is very specific. It's got a really, really cool soundtrack. Ken's stage, I think it's called Guardian of Light. It's got a really cool guitar. There's a really cool riff in there. It's just a really fun, upbeat fighting game soundtrack. Absolutely love it. And I think, I think that between those two, we've got a really nice sort of contrast. Bit of electronica, bit of the more sort of upbeat rock and roll inspired stuff. Yeah, I'm happy with those two. I'm
digging this festival so far. I think I'll be there. I'm surprised you didn't go for Tekken 3. Well, the classic Tekken, like especially when Jin and Kazuya fight each other at the end of Tekken 8, and there's that one round where it gives you the classic Tekken 3 music as they fight each other.
Well, I'd actually jotted that down for another stage.
Oh, sorry, I'll shut up.
Spoilers!
Rosie, I am imagining you've got a lot lined up.
I do have a
for
lot
the memory
lined
card
up.
stage.
And if there's one that you don't have, I would be very shocked.
But so I do have a huge lineup for this. This one was a very hard one, but
surely the headline star's got to be
Parappa the Rapper.
Yes.
Of course, I've been sat here the whole time like no one else better take Parappa the Rapper from me. Amy, Alex, if you dare,
I dared.
Parappa the Rapper. I was actually, to be fair, because you've got Parappa the Rapper, and I'm also going to say Milk Can, who is the band in Jamalami. So they're the same universe, and Lammy and the crew, they pop up in Parappa 2, and Parappa pops up in Jamalami. But Parappa the Rapper, my boy, of course he's going to be there.
To be fair, Parappa's going to draw more people than the headline main act stage, I think.
Yeah,
when Parappa's on stage, the memory card area is going to be swamped.
Absolutely swamped. And you can have all the masters that Parappa learns from and everything. So you can have your Chop Chop Master Onion, your Inspector Mussolini, then bring them in from the second game as well. You can have your Guru Ants, you can have all of these characters and stuff. And then even if you bring in Jamalami, you can put in Fire when Lammy has to put out a fire for a pizza place, and it's like
I guess the cool thing about Parappa songs is that it's like a song and then a response, so you can have the audience getting involved as well.
Yeah,
like the lines going and the audience repeats them.
I mean, you might want to be a bit careful when Chop Chop Master Onion starts going kick, punch, block, and just make sure the audience don't start kicking, punching, and then.
Well, it's a mosh. There's a consenting mosh pit for kicking and punching.
Mosh pit ever. Chop Chop Master Onion will just keep it controlled.
A Parappa the Rapper mosh pit.
Yeah, imagine a Parappa the Rapper gig. Oh my gosh, if that ever happens in real life, I am buying premium tickets if they exist.
Side stage, Rosie.
Yeah. I will get on stage as well. I would get on stage. I'll be a master for Parappa.
I can see it happening. Absolutely.
All right, Rob, who did you pick?
I've gone for characters now. Similar to what Amy did earlier with Aerith performing, I would have Yuna.
What can I do for you?
Performing not just real emotion,
1,000 words,
but also
right?
1,000 words, which is an absolute banger.
100%.
A certified banger, especially if it starts raining at the festival, because then that is just lends extra.
Sorry, everyone, we have to wait for the rain. We have to wait for the rain.
They could definitely get the heavens to open at that moment when she starts to sing. That would be
it's amazing.
Incredible.
The real emotion is an absolute
stone cold
absolute bop to open up Final Fantasy X too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with Yuna's work,
Alex? I've played Final Fantasy X too.
Oh, you have?
Alex is actually a huge Final Fantasy X and X too fan.
Excellent.
Well, yeah, just the first one.
This sounds like sarcasm. It's genuinely not. You are.
I love nothing.
Yeah.
No, I'm familiar, but I wonder if you could do something really interesting with Yuna, where you could do the start of the performance is almost like ascending and it's very serene, and then all of a sudden it switches.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Yuna's like at the start of the performance, isn't she?
Because she comes comes out in a summoner garb and
Yeah.
then she changes. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
What can I do for you?
I
I'm not
can hear
singing it.
you.
Of course, it's not actually the real Yuna performing at the start of Final Fantasy X-2, but I feel she's got it in her locker.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. There's a dress sphere of that somewhere,
yeah.
isn't there?
Yeah, I want the whole YRP band up there, Yuna, Riku and Pain, performing Real Emotion.
Yes.
It's showtime, girls.
It is. I think the memory card stage might be my favourite stage so
Yeah.
far.
I'm spending most of my time there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Left Field. So, if you heard of it, it's too mainstream for the Left Field stage. Alex, we'll go to you first.
It's an almost impossible task, really. I went for a game called The Artful Escape,
Yeah.
Oh,
which you
yeah.
have heard of, so I failed. Which is obviously a game that's got a lot of takes a lot from music, and that is sort of woven into the story. The character you play as Francis, his discovery about he goes on this embarks on this journey of discovery about his own family and how music has affected his family and how it's in his blood. But what really drew me to this was the fact that he has a magic guitar, effectively, that can make things happen in the environment and can sort of conjure up all sorts of... It's just a really, really cool thing. You can play different notes on the guitar and different things happen in game. I think that could be an incredible thing for a stage production, playing different notes on the guitar, and there are different effects happening in the background, maybe some cannons will go off. I don't know, I just feel a very colourful game anyway in terms of its
visually
presentation.
stunning, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you could bring loads of really cool elements in for the stage production. Yeah, I say let Francis take it away.
Rosie,
So,
how about you?
So I've actually slightly changed it on the fly. It was like, so I was debating between these two, but I have more of a feeling that you guys wouldn't have heard of this band. It's a band that's in a video game, and it's called the Gaverners. And
Are they all called Gavin?
so one of the members is.
Oh, that's
What a
false
narcissistic
advertising.
person he must be.
This is a band that's in Apollo Justice, which is for the fourth or the next sort of trilogy in the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney sort of set. So this is when we move slightly away from Phoenix as the main defender and we go on to Apollo Justice. But so like in Phoenix Wright, you've got Phoenix Wright and Miles Edgeworth. So you've got the defense and the prosecution. In the Apollo Justice, or at least in the fourth one, I haven't played 5 and 6 yet, but you've got Apollo on defense and the prosecution is the lead for the Gaverners. So he is essentially a prosecutor who is the singer and main guitarist for their band. And everyone who's in this band are all sort of like have jobs in law. So there's also a detective as well, who's another guitarist. And then there's like 3 other members, but we never see them. So that's, and every time like the prosecutor, he always has to do something. Like you hear the guitar being riffed and stuff like that. He'll fully do an air guitar in the court. And I just like the idea of like when it was like, what's the setting going to be? Like it's a courtroom and stuff like that. And imagine like the band, they've all got like law links to them and stuff. They've all got jobs in law. So I think like the crowd would be like, wow, look at all these people like just being in a gig and stuff.
Can the audience shout objection?
Yeah, the audience will shout objection as well. I mean, I won't lie, there is one member of the team who might have been proven to do something very bad and is now in jail, but they can replace that band member
For one night only as well.
Yeah,
they'll
for
let
one
him
night
out, won't
only.
they?
Like, there's 5 members. One of them's a bad egg.
Trust
so...
Rosie to get the problematic act. up on
You're going to
stage.
get this
Yeah.
festival cancelled, Rosie.
Well, there was a character who there's a case in the 4th one. I won't go into it in depth in case anyone wants to play it and stuff. But there's a whole case centered around a music gig and stuff. It's probably the longest case I've ever done in the Ace Attorney set. But but that introduces you more to like the band and stuff. So for a band that you probably would never have heard of, that's why I went for this band. Apart from that, I was thinking of the Persona 4 crew, because in Golden they do a song. It's only one song they know, and they do it at Junes, and I just really like the idea of like the set being the supermarket Junes, and they just play this one song, and then everyone goes encore, and they just sort of shimmy away like, no, we only know one song.
We'll just do that. We'll do that one again.
In the game, they're like, do we just play that song again? They're asking for an encore, so...
Well, that's what Joel's doing. Don't forget.
Yeah, that is what Joel's doing as well.
He's got a solid 40 minutes to fill of
Yeah.
just if I ever were to lose you.
I was thinking earlier that Persona should probably have its own tent or stage.
Yeah.
I think so.
Because when you said like it had to be so like that no one else had heard of it, that's why I was like, everyone's heard of Persona.
The music in Persona is so good that I don't feel we can not mention it in this podcast episode.
Yeah, 100%.
Good shouts, Rosie. Amy, how about you?
Okay, so I've got two. I've taken up the challenge of trying to find one you guys won't have heard of, and I've got one that you definitely will have done. So we'll start with the one you will have heard of, Outer Wilds. I would love to do the folk band, the band that gets scattered across the universe. So part of the story is obviously you've got like a little, some kind of instrument that can detect sound in space, and you can find a guy playing some bongos, a guy playing like a trumpet or something, a guy playing a flute. I can't remember what the exact
There's a guy with a
instruments
ukulele,
are,
I think, as well, or something.
but it's so clever. And if you get to the right place in the universe, you can like basically line them all up so you can hear the whole composition.
Oh,
so you
nice.
hear all the
That's
band
cool.
at once. And when you finally do find them, I'm not going to spoil the ending of the game, but when they all do come together around the campfire, it's a really magical moment. So I think that's a big one. And then second one, I keep ranting about this game to Dave, and he still hasn't played it, and it's been years now, so I'm fuming. But the Sexy Brutale is one of my favourite games of all time. I absolutely love it. The premise is really simple. You wake up at a masquerade ball, and you have a magic stopwatch that can rewind time, and you realise that all of the guests at the masquerade ball are basically getting murdered around the clock, and you've got to figure out how to save each of them, so like prevent their murders using the clock to rewind time. So maybe you're like taking bullets out of a gun, or you're hiding poison from people. You're basically trying to prevent each of their deaths in like a Groundhog Day style run. And it is so clever, it's so well written, and there's a singer in that called Tequila Bell, who is like an opera singer. She sings on stage, and she has such a powerful voice that it shatters the stained glass window behind her, and that's actually how she dies. So
you've got to stop her from singing.
You've got to basically find a way to stop her before she hits the highest note.
Right.
So it's absolutely, it's part of a sort of slight puzzle there, but it's one thread of a massively, massively beautiful tapestry. So please play Sexy Brutale, because I keep wanting to talk about it all the time. But yeah, it's fantastic. I think Tequila Bell, providing there's no stained glass within the set and the stage and no one's at risk, I think we could put her and she could try to get that big operatic note, because that would be
good.
a belter. And I don't think we've had too many ballads either, besides maybe
No.
Aerith and Yuna.
You could have an opera stage, and then you could have the opera for Final Fantasy VI going on as well.
Oh,
Yeah, I was thinking the opera from Final Fantasy VI. That was in memory card candidate when I
Yes,
was
yes.
I was like, oh, I'm so sorry.
While we're on the topic, can we also have the ballroom from Final Fantasy VIII, just so you can dance and learn the Squall and Renoa dance and sort of, do Waltz of the Moon, because that would be fantastic.
The budget for this festival, I tell you.
I don't know who's
it's going through the
responsible
roof.
for funding
It
this.
really is. My pick for the left field stage, you probably have heard of this, but I think it's left field enough, and that would be the soundtracks to both Octopath Traveler and Octopath Traveler 2 by Yasunori Nishiki. I think the soundtracks they're not just good, but they're so cleverly composed in both of these games. In particular, in the first Octopath Traveler, which is very recently available on PlayStation, by the way. If you've enjoyed Octopath Traveler 2 when it came out last year, Octopath Traveler 1 is now available on PlayStation.
Yes.
And the music is just as good, if not better than the music in Octopath Traveler 2. In Octopath Traveler 1, it's a piece of music, it's a very simple title, it's called Decisive Battle 2, and it's basically a boss track that plays when each character faces the boss at the end of their Chapter 2 story. But the composition of all of the boss tracks, in fact, is timed so specifically that it transitions from the music that precedes it in such an incredibly beautiful and satisfying way. So each character, there are 8 playable characters in Octopath Traveler and Octopath Traveler 2. They each have their own specific theme. Just before they go into a boss fight, they'll have like a version of their theme playing, or a motif that's set to a certain amount of beats per minute. And it's exactly the same beats per minute as the boss track theme. So you always get this incredibly satisfying transition. I always find that to be, when I'm fighting a boss, especially in an RPG or something like that, when the boss track kicks in, you get that surge of adrenaline when you're like, come on, let's win.
Yeah.
And it's so masterfully done in Octopath Traveler that I would like the stage to be basically just everyone standing and appreciating these amazing musical transitions from each character's motif into Decisive Battle 2. And for Octopath Traveler 2, it's called Critical Clash 2. But those are the absolute banging pieces of music. Just, they're great pieces of music in their own right. Similar sort of in tone to what you would get in Undertale, I think. but absolutely fantastic soundtracks. Probably up there in my top 5 soundtracks,
I'll
I
check
think,
that out.
of all time.
Yeah.
Octopath Traveler
Yeah,
2
Octopath,
and
God.
Octopath Traveler 1.
Oh.
Wonderful. Okay, so we're on the last stage now. The Headbangers stage.
Serious.
Alex?
It's serious.
Very important stage. Now we're going to come to Alex last.
Yeah, I think it'll last for Alex.
So he's got to sit and listen to everyone else talk about this first. Rosie, let's come to you first on Headbangers. So
Okay.
this is heavy alternative metal.
So I, again, with all the theming, this is a character who was a musician, and they were from the PS3 era. I'm referencing Eddie Riggs from Brutal Legend, because we all love Jack Black.
He's voiced by Jack Black,
And
isn't
he is voiced by Jack Black, and the whole game is centered around like heavy metal music. And I remember playing it as like on PS3 years and years and years and years ago. And I don't remember the game fully, but I do remember it's fully got, you have to use your guitar to like summon your epic motor car thingy, and it's all metal with flames coming out of it. I think you've got a guitar and an axe, and you're just fighting demons. Ozzy Osbourne's in the game, and you have to go, I think you have to go to hell to go to his shop, and like it's genuine that Ozzy Osbourne, like it's his, the character model is Ozzy, and it's also voiced by him as well.
This is pretty metal.
Yeah.
Super
Yeah.
cool. It's a super cool game, and there's even like parts of the world that are inspired by classic metal album art, which is really really cool. It's like for any metalheads out there, it's like it's just like a tour of metal history. The
Yeah.
soundtrack's- it's such a good pick, Rosie. Honestly, it's great.
Oh, so that's what I was like in my theme of choosing characters and actual like, you know, in-game musicians and stuff. I was like, I think he's just got to be the one.
Yeah. Smashing pick. Fantastic pick, Rosie.
Thank you very much.
Amy, how about you?
There's only one for me on the Headbanger stage, and everyone knows what it's going to be. It would be the old Gods of Asgard
Yeah.
from Alan Wake 2. They have so many songs. I think genuinely they could do a tour at this point, because obviously old Gods of Asgard are the fictional counterparts in the Remedy universe or the Remedyverse of Poets of the Fall, who are a real band. So if they were to just get dressed up in their kind of old Gods of Asgard garb and go on tour, I would just take my money. Take my money. I'd be there tomorrow. They could do the thing they do in Alan Wake 1, where they do Child of the Elder God and they set off all the fireworks
Yeah,
to
that's a
blast
great
away all the
bit.
Taken. Obviously, they've got some sort of slower stuff like the Poet and the Muse. And also there's Anger's Remorse in the new game, which is proper like, oh, it's really heart-wrenching. And I think, yeah, I would say Champion of Light. Herald of Darkness is the name of the song. But as soon as I say, show me the Champion of Light, I just can't, every fibre in my being just wants to be like,
Limbs start raising.
it's so good.
Just imagine
It's
a field,
incredible.
thousands of people in a field all
doing that. Yeah.
That'd
They
be
would as
amazing.
well.
They would. They absolutely
They
would. I
would.
mean, the Game Awards, right? They performed it live. Sam Lake was there,
Yeah.
dancing, and he looks the happiest I've ever seen him in his life. Like he's clearly ascending in that moment with joy. It's brilliant. I would definitely go see the Old Gods. I think above everyone else, really, they would be my number one pick.
They're like a living meme.
They are. They absolutely are. But it's the closest. I think it's really clever as well because it's the closest a band's come to really breaking from reality into, you know, kind of this fictional universe. Like they've got album covers and they've got kind of like, you can buy Old Gods of Asgard merch for a band that doesn't really exist.
But it
And
does, though, doesn't it?
It does, clearly.
It does.
It's tangible. It's tangible. Yeah, I love it.
So I'm going to go for a real band that doesn't exist anymore, but it did. And this is band. Is anyone familiar with the Black Mages?
I love the Black Mages.
The Black Mages that Nobuo Uematsu set up. Nobuo Uematsu, the world-renowned composer of the Final Fantasy series, or certainly the earlier Final Fantasy games. A lot of his influences are sort of like rock and metal. And you can certainly see that in tracks like Those Who Fight Further from Final Fantasy VII, a very sort of
Otherworld
heavy,
from Final Fantasy X.
heavy
Yeah.
metal style
Yeah.
bop. Yes, but the Black Mages was like an alternative rock metal band that he set up to do Final Fantasy covers.
So cool.
And it's the only metal band I've ever really enjoyed, to be honest. I'm not like a big metalhead at all, but obviously I'm a big sucker for Final Fantasy music, and I remember distinctly my stepdad picking me up from university. I went to Aberystwyth University, and the 4-hour drive back to Taunton, I had a CD that I'd ripped, and it was like 12 Black Mages songs.
Wow.
I just had them going on repeat for the entire 4 hours, and I think my stepdad must have wanted the road to just swallow us. He was not having a good time. He wanted to listen to things like, Kasabian and other dad music. But I was like, no, we listen to the Black Mages. Listen to the Black Mages. This one's amazing. Just wait till you hear Those Who Fight Further, the Black Mages version. It's so cool.
Was that your favourite? Was that your favourite track?
I can't remember. I think it might have been, Those Who Fight Further. And I use it because I did film at university, and for the final film that I made in my final year, I had like a fight scene, and I used the Black Mages, Those Who Fight Further, as the music to the fight scene in
That
it.
is rad.
It was cool. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. It wasn't.
I'd love to see it now.
I want to see
really
it.
cool.
But they were disbanded, I think, in 2010, sadly. But their legacy lives on, and I still listen to their music now.
Yeah.
I love the Final Fantasy music, obviously, but this sort of heavy metal twist on some of the more iconic tunes, I thought was great. And if the Black Mages ever did like a comeback tour, ever played anywhere, I would be there like a shot.
Yeah.
Well, they are. They're coming for this
amazing.
festival.
They're coming for this festival now.
This is, you heard it here first.
So that would be my pick.
Okay.
Alex, we
Hello.
come to it at last.
Yes, brace
Alex
yourselves.
Young with his metal recommendations for the Headbangers stage.
Is that
please.
the biggest paragraph on your notes?
It's the biggest
there?
paragraph I've ever written. Buckle up. So I thought, Amy's already mentioned Otherworld by Final Fantasy X. The first thing I wrote down, I think
I love that song so much.
before a band takes to the stage, we would have that, and then we would have Jin's theme from Tekken 3, which Rob mentioned earlier. I think those two tracks, just to get the crowd going, just to get the energy levels up, getting people ready, because they're going to go to war in that crowd. It's going to be, it's going to get mushing, it's going to get tasty. And then we go straight into Mick Gordon. We'll give him like a 2-hour long set. He can just play all of the tracks from Doom. We've got Rip and Tear, we've got BFG Division. It's got loads of like big, heavy tracks.
Yeah.
We're going straight in with Mick Gordon, heavy guitars. That is going to be amazing. Then I thought we could take it in a slightly different direction. Go for a fictional band from Grand Theft Auto Vice City called Love Fist.
Love Fist.
Yeah.
I remember Love
Slightly
Fist.
more like hair metal, like Motley Crue type thing.
Yeah.
Slightly different vibe. That'd be a load of fun. Loads of guitar solos and yeah, lots of just hair everywhere.
Tune into the radio, can't you, and hear like interviews with them and stuff.
Yeah,
And don't
yeah.
you get like a mission where you're escorting them in a limo?
Yeah, a man tries to blow up their limo and you have to stay over a speed limit, like the film Speed. It's a great mission. And they're all in the back panicking, like, I don't know what, they're Scottish, I don't know what to do. It's great. Then we're going to go for a real band called Crush 40. Who
Legend.
Rosie will know. You'll know more about than me.
Oh,
But I remember playing through I think it's Sonic Heroes, and there's Live and Learn, I think, is one of the tracks.
Live and Learn.
And I was like, this is really cool. This song is great.
Live and Learn is Sonic Advance 2. Oh no, Sonic Adventure, not
Oh,
Advance.
my mistake.
Sonic Adventure 2.
But they've got a load of like heavy songs that are really cool actually. When you're speeding around a Sonic or fighting a big boss, like amazing
I've
music.
spoken about on podcasts before. They did "I Am All of Me" from Shadow of the Hedgehog,
Well,
which
there
is
you
probably
go.
the most metal song in Sonic.
They're in. They're on the stage. And then from there, what have I got? The final one that I wrote down was Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, because that album, that soundtrack is full of just shredding metalcore. It's almost been memed a bit now because it's just so over the top with the heavy, fast thrash metal inspired music. It's such a high octane game that where everything's happening at 100 miles an hour. The soundtrack is no different. I think that stage is incredible. I also want to kind of cheat a little bit and just mention these are real bands on these soundtracks. Burnout 3. It's one of my favourite game soundtracks ever. There's loads of great bands on that soundtrack. And Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, specifically 2. Those are also amazing soundtracks with real bands.
You've thought
Alex.
about the Headbanger stage in great
Yeah.
detail.
Would you like your own festival?
Yeah. Let's do it now.
We'll call it Load Down.
I'm just gonna call it
That's
now.
what I often do. Put a load down.
I'm
I'm
gonna call
just
it now. This would be way better than Glastonbury. This festival that we've cooked up here.
Good variety.
Every day be amazing.
Yeah. Rob's
Every
first
day.
festival. actually be in attendance.
What a way to start,
Yeah, get in there.
Indeed. So some things that we'd also consider, as well as the music, like is there any sort of particular video game food that you'd want to see on sale at the food trucks?
I love this question.
The burger in Resident Evil 2 remake, the one at the very beginning. I think
the dirtiest, greasiest, most gross, delicious-looking burger in all
I think
video
that's
games.
prime festival food right there.
God,
yeah.
yes. God, I want a burger right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want Ignis from Final Fantasy 15 to have his own little
stand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just let him do his thing. Let him cook.
Yeah.
literally.
Let him cook. Yeah.
That's what it'll be called. Let him cook.
Let him cook.
Yeah.
Let him cook.
I got as well some chili dogs as well for classic Sonic with his chili dogs.
I wrote down a Dragon's Dogma 2 meat truck.
Yeah.
The most realistic
Just because
meat.
how good the meat looks in that game.
If you are unfamiliar with what we're talking about, Google Dragon's Dogma meat, because there was a huge thing that broke the internet where people didn't know if meat in Dragon's Dogma was actually real meat, live action, filmed meat, or CGI, and it broke the internet because nobody could tell the difference. That's how far we've come.
Did we ever get to the bottom of
Yeah, we
it
did.
was actually real meat,
Yeah,
and
it
I was
was.
on the winning side. I was
They
very
just
proud of that.
told everyone. I think they should have kept it a mystery.
I think they should have done, mystery meat.
But I want to see the menu board on the Dragon's Dogma 2 meat truck. So
Yeah.
Scrag of Beast, $2. So you can buy like a rotten scrag of beast, or you get like the full-on amazing
Got no money left.
dragon
Yeah.
steak.
Just a scrag for me.
Just a scrag of beast,
Do you
please.
want some sauce with your scrag? Yes, please.
Scrag of beast with a bit of tomato ketchup on it, please. Yeah. Scrag of beast bun for breakfast. Scrag of beast and egg roll.
I got any chips with that?
Why don't we refer to bacon as scrag? I love the word scrag.
I also did
so
think
much.
sweet treats are quite good, especially later on in the day when you need some
I've
sugar.
got some sweet stuff.
What have you got?
I've got sweet rolls from Skyrim.
That's what I've done.
And I'd
I've
also-
eaten one of those in real life.
You have. We
Ooh.
made a short of you, didn't it, for YouTube?
Yeah, it got all over my nose and moustache.
Yes, it
and it
was
took about an
caked.
hour for me to get the stickiness off my face.
Oh, was it really like
It was
sugary?
very sticky.
Oh.
Yeah.
I also
Yum, yum,
had I'd
Not
sea
good when you have
I
facial
had
hair.
sea salt ice cream.
sea salt ice cream from Kingdom Hearts.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I reckon that'd be good.
And
That's a good one.
isn't Elena from the Turks eating a sea salt ice cream at some point
It
as
looks
well
like
in
she
Rebirth?
is in Rebirth. I wasn't sure if that was a direct. It feels like it is a reference.
little homage to it.
because it's like that pale blue color, isn't it? Yeah, that nice light that shoots. Yeah, I think it probably is. I also thought we should do a little fun thing where you can get the portal cake. So you can like buy the portal cake, but then when you get it, they give you
There's
the
just
box,
nothing
and then
in
it's
it.
empty.
Amazing. That would be amazing. £10 as well.
Oh,
Just
they're
spend the tenner on
charging
that.
absolute killing just for people to go. Oh,
You need like a baker's that's like with the name of it with a pun twist on GLaDOS's name or something.
Yeah. I don't know. Simply the test or something. Maybe it's, I don't know.
Simply the test.
But you'd just be so funny if you just opened it and then you were like, oh. I should have seen this coming, really. And then my only other ones were Bancho Sushi from Dave the Diver.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing loads of Dave the Diver at the moment, and his sushi's incredible. And then I think Cluck and Bell, which me and Rob went to in real life, actually, in San Diego
Comic-Con. Even the restaurants are cosplaying.
Yeah.
There was a fried chicken fast food place that was cosplaying as Clucking Bell from
GTA.
GTA. All the staff were wearing T-shirts with a phrase on that I will not repeat on the podcast. But it was some great fried chicken.
It was brilliant, yeah.
Very
They even had the
good.
TVs on playing the things that they're playing in the
that's
PS2
very
games. Like the
really
attention
good.
to
Love that.
detail was incredible. But Cluck and Bell is prime festival food.
So, who would you most like to share a tent? Or actually, no, who's the worst character to share a tent with?
I liked my pick for this one.
Okay,
go on.
Rosie.
The Untitled Goose from Untitled Goose
Oh
Game.
God, that would be a nightmare.
Wouldn't it literally be the worst situation?
God.
7 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, not only because it just honks, the whole purpose of Untitled
Oh,
Goose Game is
no.
to annoy everyone and just be the biggest nuisance ever. So the worst person, when you're in like a little tent and just this goose either bringing stuff from everyone else's tent into your tent or taking stuff out of your tent and moving it around and pulling the tent down while you're sleeping and then you got to pitch it back up. I think it would just literally be the worst person, the worst character to share a tent
If you're
with.
sharing a tent with the goose from Untitled Goose Game, it's not just your festival that gets ruined. It's everyone in the immediate vicinity is going to have their day ruined
Oh, you
by
just-
this flipping goose. That would be a good. Well, haven't they done a music festival level?
They
need to.
They
if they
need
haven't.
to. They need to really.
Because you could have some great fun, wrecking so many people's days. Any other candidates for character that you wouldn't want to share a tent with?
I wrote down Sam Porter Bridges because one, he carries around a weird baby in a glowing
He starts
container.
crying in the middle of the night.
Well, yeah, exactly. I got enough of that, thank you. And then he also has wee and poo grenades that he would presumably want to store in the tent.
He does, doesn't he?
So
'Cause he's
it's
like-
all a bit weird to me. It's a weird vibe. It's not right for a festival. You know,
I
it's got to
thought
be a
you were
certain
going to be
level of-
talking about all of his, but it would be handy in terms of when you have to pack everything up. At
True,
the end,
true,
'cause you
true.
just carry the whole
I see
lot.
both sides.
I did kind of have him pegged as my character who wouldn't do well in the mud though, because he literally
Falls over all the time, doesn't he? Yeah.
constantly falls
Yeah.
over everywhere you go.
Yeah.
He just slips down. Like if you could have do like a supercut of my Death Stranding experience, it's just Sam rolling down hills and landing in mud.
It's got like real positives and real like negatives for him. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
quite a mixed festival experience for Sam Porter Bridges.
Wouldn't want to share a tent with him though. You're absolutely damn right there. Yeah.
Weird.
No, it would be bad to share a tent with. Amy, do you have anyone you wouldn't want to share a tent with, or anyone who wouldn't fare well in the mud, or anyone who you think would be good at crowd surfing or not good at crowd surfing?
For my tent pick, I put Claptrap.
Oh, that's a
He
great
just
pick.
wouldn't shut up, would he? He
That's
would
a
not
great
shut
pick.
up. You'd be
You've done
using him
really
as
well
a,
here to pick some really annoying characters. Yeah.
I think you'd be using him as like a disposable some sort of trash bin by
Yeah.
day two, I think.
Oh, God.
And then for crowd surfing, who did I put for crowd surfing?
Can I do my tent one, actually?
Oh yeah, no, go.
Because I've got Nazim from Skyrim.
Yes.
Because he'd just be there, waking up in the morning. Do you get to the main stage often? What am I saying? Of course you don't.
Do you get backstage very often?
Do you go to the VIP area often? And what am I saying? Of course you don't.
Yeah, that's a brilliant example. That's
Yeah.
so good. Who is my crowd surf? I actually put Nathan Drake for like
As someone you want to crowd
wouldn't
surf,
want to
wouldn't
crowd
want to
surf.
crowd surf.
I just feel like he'd smell a bit.
Surely everyone smells at a music festival.
I know, but Nathan Drake in particular has been through.
Of what?
I don't know. He just looks like a sweaty man.
He'd do well in the mud, to be fair.
Yeah.
He would do very well in the mud. I just feel like
he'd be very at home, wouldn't he? In the muddy fields of Glastonbury.
Yeah.
you just
Nathan
don't
Drake.
see
Fine
him.
there.
You don't see him shower very often, and I feel like he's been through a lot.
I mean, he doesn't have a lot of opportunities while he is exploring to
no,
shower.
not really. I just feel like he'd smell of a dank tomb. But also, not the worst. I also put Barrett because I thought there's no way I'm lifting him up.
Yeah.
Imagine Barrett
I
crowd
had that
surfing.
line of thinking with Kratos. You know, if he wants to get launched in crowd surf, he's going to flatten people.
If
Yeah.
that lands on your neck, it's game over.
You're done for.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
as well from a different angle, because originally I thought the King of Cosmos, just because he is absolutely huge, but I can imagine he's very much a character who gets taken away by like the vibe and the music, and then he just on his own whim just dives into the crowd, forgetting that he's the King of Cosmos, so he's bigger than planets. But I also put down Rayman because Rayman, I just can imagine jumping into the crowd and all the limbs would just get scattered, and then it just rather than a crowd surf, it's more a case of like, oh my god, I've got Rayman's shoe, like, and then like
Has anyone
Rayman's
got a hand?
yeah, like Rayman's freaking out because it's like he's moving his hands, being like, someone please.
That's
Oh,
a
not
very unique problem for Rayman. that.
Rayman's
Yeah.
having a bad
I
trip.
would not recommend crowd surfing Rayman. I think,
Oh my
unfortunately,
God.
that is all we've got time for. I think we've made a really exciting music festival here, one that I would really like to go to for numerous reasons. The food sounds great, the music at the indie stage and the left field stage. And the headbanging
Yeah.
stage.
And Parappa the Rapper in the
memory card stage,
Yeah.
and of course the main stage. All of the stages. Sounds great. Please let us know in the comments what your picks would be for any one of those stages, or which character you most would or would not like to share a tent with. We're keen to hear them all and read them all, and please do keep an eye on the YouTube channel for loads of amazing content coming up. And we will be back in another 2 weeks for another episode of the PlayStation Access podcast. Until then, goodbye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
See ya.
PlayStation